Well, hi, Akiva and Tony. We're here today to talk about the wonderful program that you started with Relationships Australia, Men Being Well. I'd like to go over to Akiva first and just get a feel. Why did you start this group?
We were really keen to offer men a place they could come along and engage in conversation and share some parts of their lives with others.
Great. And what got you into this work?
Myself actually being a dad and then separating a few decades ago, I realized that dads can be quite isolated and need a bit of support in their roles.
Great. So a bit of a peer-to-peer helping hand in a sense.
Absolutely. We sort of here for each other in a non-hierarchical way, and everyone has the wisdom, in a sense, necessary to work through their own issues and just needs a bit of support from others so that it's not a solitary process, which can be a bit overwhelming, of course.
That's good work. So, Tony, what got you into this work?
Like Akiva says, I was also a separated dad, and I realised that there were just not many spaces available to support men, particularly in challenging time. My background, I'm a psychologist. I was working for Relationships Australia at the time, so started up an initial program with RA many years ago. And Men Being Well has really kind of grown out of that program, sort of morphed.
Wonderful. And what do you think happens in the group? Why are men being well? Akiva, over to you first.
I think men, like all human beings, experience wellness when they can feel comfortable, sense of belonging, and in some way we can each realize our potential to be the best men, the best fathers that we can be.
Fantastic. I'm just going to ask a question. So if you could think of maybe one or maybe a combination of people that have come to the group and maybe give me a little bit of a, I don't know, summary of what happens, when they go into the machine of the group. What happens before, during, after? What changes or what things do you notice or have you noticed?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think some people come along with a sense of particular difficulties that they're facing right now and perhaps feeling overwhelmed or just, some sort of concern, despondency, despair, and the rest. And there can be, in many cases, then a sense of being able to open up and sharing the challenges and just a sense of newfound confidence, hopefully, as to being able to take on the difficulties and work things through, and realize that we're all kind of in the same boat, muddling our way along and trying to be well, trying to be positive towards others, and trying to find a measure of happiness for ourselves and those in our lives.
Always in discussion with Akiva, things come out of the conversation, which is perhaps it's a parallel to for you get a group of men together and you raise or talk through certain subjects or certain topics, that things grow from that you may not have really thought about, you may be unaware of, and so on. But one of the reasons, just wanted to add, why we see shifts, I think, in the program is through connection. It's a theme that we often come back to time and time again. I mean, we're all social animals and we need connection, especially in difficult times, especially times when one might feel isolated. So to connect in a group, which is safe, secure, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and with like-minded men, it allows all sorts of can set all sorts of seeds in motion. So I think connection is one of the keys for us and one of the key drivers for this program. Good, healthy, positive connection.
So I guess some people come through different recommendation, or they hear about it, could be peers or might even be a professional. So sometimes when people, I guess, my experience of people going to different groups is sometimes people think that the group leaders, or, you know, who's in the group is going to bring about these processes that's going to change men. So where do you think the change comes from? How does it?
Yeah, we kind of have a saying that we're all teachers here, we're all students here, and really the change comes. I mean, I don't want to sound sort of wanky, but it comes from the process, from that sort of peer process of conversations together, of discussion. Something new's created, or some new thought, new idea, new way of approaching something comes out of that. You know, that kind of process. So Akiva and I will facilitate the program, but we certainly don't sort of lead we hold the space, but we don't provide answers. We think everyone's got their answer within their own life. They've just got to find it, kind of thing, and have we help the process of finding that.
And Akiva, where do you feel the change comes from, or have you seen it come from?
Yeah, well, like Tony said, I think it's really about providing a safe space where people can open up and listen authentically, in a sense, to themselves as well as to others, and sometimes putting forward one's own thoughts. I remember experiencing this some 20 years ago myself, first attending a men's group in Melbourne, and just kind of checking in, which is a very key part of our process, is a way of sharing with others, and also providing a kind of, you know, a response to oneself, like a sense of accountability to self. If you're basically saying, well, this is where I am today, I sometimes say, well, you wouldn't want to be telling the same story in a month's time or 3 months' time. It's that accountability. I'm going to take action on what is of concern to me. And as Tony said, I'm the one who probably has pretty much the best understanding of how to move forward, that I will be comfortable with, and that will work well for those in my life. So it's really that accountability that's crucial to self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question around change and so on. And I think, as Kiva said, it's perhaps emphasis is on people taking responsibility for their own change, you know, like that Gandhi saying, you know, be the change you want to see. So if you want to shift the world, shift yourself first. In fact, one of the quotes we use is from James Campbell, which is about, you know, talks about, you know, not on this road to save the world, but to save ourselves. But in saving ourselves, we save the world, which I think is a good, you know, a good theme, really powerful theme. But I also wanted to say we also have an emphasis on, like, it's who's in the room, and yes, what may shift there, what they might be doing, but that affects who they relate to, partners, children, friends, and so on, and communities. So we've also got that emphasis. Yes, it's on the individual, but it's on the individual in community, in relationship, you know, in different roles. So we probably don't emphasize that enough, but that's very much part of our focus. So that shift, it's like a ripple effect of positive or constructive shift when it happens.
No, that's beautifully said, Tony. And in terms of community, I think it's precisely the sense of belonging, the sense of being among peers, and being able to be present as one's, you know, authentic self, not having to hide the fact that there's kind of fears and uncertainties and difficulties that we all face in our lives, and that I can be well in relationship, in connection to others, and I don't really exist, in a sense, if I'm just completely solitary. It's my relationship with others, including within a, you know, a friendly, supportive group, that helps me to, you know, to be me, because I am someone who's listening, someone who's sharing, someone who's part of a conversation. It's kind of like doing life together as opposed to in solitary. The former is far more pleasing and leads to well-being, as the human experiment over thousands of years has demonstrated.
So what are blokes likely to get out of coming along to Men Being Well, Akiva?
I think mostly social connection, which is so important for all of us, sense of belonging, being part of a community, and a shared journey towards well-being, resilience, happiness, all that we're each looking for in our lives.
Excellent. And I'd like to ask the same question to Tony.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Akiva said, and I think like we often say life's difficult, so I think just fellow journeyman on life's journey, and I think it's important to share that road together, and I think that's what people get in an easy, positive, supportive manner. So yeah, that's what I think would say.
Excellent. And how can people get in touch with you guys, Akiva?
We have a meetup group for Men Being Well. If you just search for Men Being Well on Meetup, we've got a Relationships Australia Victoria webpage, and obviously once you get in touch, we've got email, and happy to have a chat and welcome you to the group.
Awesome.